Software sales reps, if you're having conversation in your cold calls and they're not turning into book meetings, or you're running intro discovery calls and they're not turning into qualified opportunities, there's probably something missing with your execution around customer stories. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through step by step how to think about customer stories, how to position them. I'm going to give you an example of one using this framework. And then I'm actually going to role play and tell you what I would say if I'm on a cold call with someone trying to pique their interest to book a call with me as a next step. So let's dig right in. What I want you to think about when it comes to telling stories with customers, there's 3 questions you need to answer for them. Number 1, is this for me? So when you think about it, people are getting sold to all the time. So they're more skeptical than ever before. So the first question they need to answer is like, why should I care? Is this for me? Does this resonate? So the first thing you want to make sure you're doing when you're getting a customer testimonial, whether it's in written form, video, or you're communicating it, make sure that you're focusing on the persona and that it aligns with them. Because if you're bringing a $100 million business to them as a relatable customer story, and they're at 1 million in revenue, it's going to be hard for them to connect the dots. People want to know that you've helped people that look just like them, and building on that, have similar problems that they have. That's another thing. If you're $1 million business and you're trying to get to 10 million, great. But your problems are going to be very different than a business that's going from 10 to 20, 20 and beyond. So this is where when you're working with the customers that you have and you're doing customer stories, make sure that it's easy for them to understand the problems that the other customers were running into. So when you're getting them and communicating them, outline that. And then when you think about it, they're going to be skeptical. There's going to be objections. So if you could build that into your testimonial in advance, that's going to go a long way to hook your prospects into really grabbing their attention. Things like them thinking it's going to take a lot of time, money, and resources. So if you can make it sound simpler, that's going to be really helpful for them. Things like investment. Is the ROI there? These are things that they're going to be weighing when they're trying to decide whether or not it makes sense to work with you. So if you can get ahead of those objections with your customer stories, that's going to go a long way. And then last but not least, when it comes to, is this for me? Does your prospect's goals align with the goals that your customer had and have now achieved? Really important. Because if you have helped someone get to where I'm trying to go, I'm going to be significantly more likely to take the next step with you, regardless of what that is in the selling motion. So that's the first question. Is this for me? Second question, is this what I want? Really important to think about this, because not everyone wants the same things, even if the same persona, even if it's the same size business, right? Do they want similar things? And when you think about it, this isn't just about their goals. This is about you, right? Are you the right solution for them? So if you can have your customers tell the story of why they choose you, what made you unique and stood out from the competition, that's going to go a long way. Because if you're in a competitive situation, which I bet you are, you're going to need to help them understand what makes you unique. So leveraging your customers to tell that for you is going to go a long way to help you. So why did they choose you? Then what do they actually get? What is the actual solution that when they invest their time, money, and resources that they're going to get? Not features, but solution. Because solutions solve problems. Features do not. That's number 2. Number 3, experience. Have your customers relay the story of what it's like to work with you. That's going to go a long way to help them understand what the customer experience or buyer experience, onboarding experience is going to look like. Because again, people don't like change. It's going to seem like a lot, very scary to them. Make it easy for them to say yes by having your customers relay how much value they get out of it and how great of an experience they get from working with you. Then last but not least, what's the results? When I think about results, this is where data comes into play. Make sure your customers know the quantifiable impact that you've had from working with them. And that's going to help them, number 1, justify continuing to work with you for your customers. So that's going to help your customer retention. Number two, help prospects understand what's the quantifiable outcome that they can get. So what's the results they're going to get quantitatively? Now, ideally, you would also want to say qualitative results that they get. And this is typically down at the persona level. So I'll give you an example. If you're talking to a VP of sales, the quantifiable result from investing in my coaching program might be increasing their win rate by 10% in 3 months. That's the quantitative. The qualitative could be, as the VP, I have significantly more confidence in our forecasting and where we're doing so I can make strategic decisions for the business, right? Hard to quantify that, but it still goes into the decision-making process. So those are the first two questions. Is this me? Is this what I want? Third question, if you could build this into the testimonial, it's going to go a long way. Any advice that they have for me, they being the customers telling the story, the testimonial, because as someone's watching this video, as someone's reading your testimonial, they're going to want to know what was going through that customer's mind when they made a decision. So it's going to help them feel better about making the decision. But if we're being honest, the customers that you have, even if they're getting amazing results, there's still probably some things that they would fine tune that would help them even get more value out of it. So if there's advice that they can give to prospects that are evaluating your solution, that's going to help them go in with eyes wide open into the experience. And all of those things provide a significant amount of clarity so that your solution is the no-brainer solution for them. So that's the framework if you can structure around that. But what I want to give is I want to give a tangible example from my academy using this framework. So what I'm going to pull up here is case studies and testimonials. So, when I'm working with clients, obviously I quantify the impact and the results that I give them. And of course, what I want to do when people are evaluating my academy, my solution, because there's over 100 people that I work with now in my academy, and we're going like crazy. But one of the things that I do in the selling motion is help make it easy for the people that are evaluating working with me to say yes by de-risking that decision as much as possible. And the easiest way to do that is leveraging customers' testimonials. So I'm going to play one of them for you right now. And then after I play it, because that's a video, because you're not always going to have the ability to play a video, you're not going to have that captive audience always. So what I'm going to give you is I'm going to recap this testimonial that I want to play for you as if I'm on a cold call so that you can use this similar mindset in your conversations. So I'm going to press play.
I'm Steve Ledbetter. I'm a new logo enterprise AE at NICX1. So we strictly hunt in this role. Our deals are about $1 million in ACV, roughly. Our quota is about 1.5. So the reason why I was interested in working with a coach originally, just some context on where I started, I was an SDR at a recent IPO SaaS company, and I did really, really well. And they like to promote their SDRs directly into enterprise AE roles because they only did enterprise sales. When I got into that role, I could tell right away that there was just a huge gap in my experience as an SDR translating to being a successful AE. I tried to work as much as I could with others on my team and my RVP. Really, over the next 3 years in that role and 2 other roles, I struggled to close deals and advance deals. I did have some smaller expansion type deals with existing customers and some renewals. I've worked with a lot of veteran AEs and RVPs, but there's only so much coaching and training. And a lot of people don't have really refined processes for what they do. And when I started talking to Justin, I was 2 months into my current role and was struggling with the territory plan and structuring my meetings. Had a brand new RVP. I was brand new to the product space. And so he really reached out to me at the right time where I was just thinking, what am I missing? What skills and tools do I not have that I can get? And in our first conversation, just his background was similar to mine, being a very successful SDR, moving to AE at Salesforce, and then crushing that, becoming a CRO, and then going back to Salesforce and being a top AE there. It's gave me a lot of confidence that he's experienced a lot of the same things that I'm experiencing and that I have experienced in the other roles, and that he, in having the sales leader role, also just has the perspectives on how people manage a role like this when they're struggling. And so his experience seemed like directly relevant, and his attitude and mindset towards sales aligned with mine as well. And he's so far been an amazing resource for everything that I've been working on. There's, the courses and the specific frameworks, there's the group calls and the one-on-ones where I can bring up anything that's kind of a one-off. So I use them in a bunch of different ways. Very specifically, what's been beneficial is, being able to ask him questions on things that come up, but also improving my meetings, prospecting strategy, territory and account planning, day to day. How do you manage your schedule and what you're doing and your internal resources and your SDR? And I feel like I've been able to control those things a lot more now. And it's a huge difference in the way that I was running things before versus how I am now. And even on top of that, I hadn't even considered, how does your mindset affect all of these things? When we first started talking, I was pretty burnt out and frustrated and looking for, how can I succeed in this role? I am not here to do anything except for succeed. And, I was excited to start with him, and I started seeing results pretty much right away. So intangibly, the results that I saw were my meetings improved, my pipeline got stronger, I had better relationships with the champions I was developing, which was something I had really struggled with before. And more tangibly, I recently closed my first big enterprise new logo in mid-February. It only took about 12 weeks from when they started talking to us, and it was the first deal that I had implemented all of the meeting framework and champion development strategies on. So it was really nice to just 4 or 5 months from starting to work with Justin to actually get a new logo closed. And so specifically, that puts me at 40% of my quota so far this year in the beginning of March, which is number one on my team. But not just one deal closing, it's also the 3 or 4 other deals that are late stage pipeline now. So I'm at 3x of my annual pipeline for the rest of the year. And there's one deal that's on the verge of a decision, which if it closes will put me at about 90% of quota. So couldn't have had better results so far in just a short time of working with him. And if you're on the fence at all, I've seen tons of people in other roles and in this role who have a lot of experience could benefit from a lot of the things that we're learning about. How do you make things relevant to your prospects? How do you run your meetings? Justin really gives you the tools that you need and the framework and mindset that you need to improve your prospecting, make it more relevant, run your meetings in a way that engages all of the people on the call and manages all the different personas in your deal. And then the mindset thing is really important too. It's something that a lot of people are probably struggling with. And I went from being, like I said, kind of frustrated to now I'm super confident and calm when I'm talking to customers. So if you're in an enterprise role and selling complex deals, maybe there's a lot of internal politics and processes to go through. We have a ton of that here. And Justin's been really, really helpful. And here's the right way to navigate your internal stuff. And here's the right way to actually help your customer. So I would strongly recommend working with him based on the results I've got.
So if you notice, I follow that framework when we have the testimonial, helping people understand that he's in a similar role, similar problems, similar goals. I've been making sure that people understand what the solution looks like, what the results look like, right? And any advice that he has for anyone that's looking at that, right? But you're not always going to have someone that could sit down and watch a video for 5 minutes, right? There's going to be situations where you're on a cold call and you need to give a quick pitch to pique someone's interest to take a follow-up call, right? So here's how I would relay that customer story if I were making a cold call with somebody. I would say, hey, you remind me a lot of Steve, who was an enterprise rep, in my program. And we first started working together. The thing that he was struggling with before was not being confident in his role. He was recently transitioned into enterprise and you didn't feel like he had the right framework, systems, things like that. And it was preventing him from hitting the goals that he wanted because he wanted to be number one on his team and he wanted to crush it. So from working with me, by being able to give him the right systems, the frameworks, and really just be a co-pilot with him on his strategic deals, right? Because that's where the nuances of the transformation comes into play. He's able to see some pretty drastic results, from improving his champion development, running better meetings, running tighter deals, better leveraging his internal resources. It helped him get his first massive enterprise deal on the board, number one on his team. And he's got a 3x plus pipeline, and he's on target to, definitely exceed and continue to be number one on his team. So that's his experience. Curious, would that resonate with you? if you had something similar? Pause. And then if and when they say yes, because if you're telling the story correct, it should hit the mark. And then once they say yes, then you say, great. So why don't we do this? Why don't we schedule a follow-up call? We can dig into the specifics of how I was able to do that with Steve in greater detail, and then learn more about your situation to see if we can help you deliver better results. How's that sound? Right. So if you think about this, it comes down to helping people understand that they're not alone, that you've helped people that look just like them, similar problems, similar goals, similar concerns around working with you, help them understand what it's like to work with you, help them understand that the juice is worth the squeeze and the value is there. And by doing that and effectively telling that story, it's going to help them feel more comfortable with you and de-risk their decision to take the next step, which could be booking a meeting if it's cold call, or turn into a qualified opportunity if it's early in the cycle. So hope this is helpful. Implement it. My name is Justin J. Johnson, founder and creator of the Beautiful Savage Sales Academy. Go use this, go burn it down, go make a ton of money.